Great Gaming Crash of 1983. Hello everyone, it's Eric the LonePineWolfman here, and I just want to ask you a quick question. What is going on in the gaming industry? We have giant corporations buying out smaller ones. Those same giant corporations who employ a majority of all the developers, artists, writers, etc., who should in theory hold the lion's share of unique ideas and talent at their disposal, are creating the blandest, safest games with developer chest thumping having replaced fun. Remakes, bloated companies, and unoriginal ideas are the norm. Half the stuff on Steam are either Diablo and Souls clones, and the rest are just trying to chase whatever's been popular in the last few years. Microtransactions, gambling, and social politics have also entered the mix. We see major brands losing money with each release, they just can't figure out why. And when they do get a random good game, again, it's like they are lost and have all the wrong ideas on why it was a success. The industry seems like it's close to a big crash of sorts, and smaller companies are waiting in the wings for them to fall and to take over. And while this sounds like it's only a recent problem for today's industry, it has happened before, and in nearly the same way. I'm talking about the Great Gaming Crash of 1983. In this series, we will see how examining the past can tell us about the modern gaming industry, how major companies lose touch with their own customer base, and how after the dust clears, how new companies come into the fold. I would just like to say thank you for watching. And here is a word from our sponsor. Just kidding, I don't have a sponsor. Maybe someday. While playing games for entertainment is nothing new in the span of human history, playing them digitally is a much more recent concept. Technically, video games began in the 1950s with programs like OXO, a tic-tac-toe game developed in 1952 as part of a Cambridge student's thesis on human-computer interactions. As years went on, early tech enthusiasts developed more programs. For instance, in 1958 we had Tennis for Two, and in 1962, first year an American went into orbit around Earth, and the Cuban Missile Crisis, Space War was developed by MIT. That game even had its own gamepad and everything, and was really developed to demonstrate the power of computer devices at the time, and proof of possible entertainment value from these programs. And that's really a big part of gaming. Games are meant to entertain and to challenge us, or to help us challenge others. But these early programs were only popular with the early programming community, who knew how to use computers, and home computing systems wouldn't arrive in households until the early 1970s. So flash forward to the 1970s. In that decade, not only the first home computers were starting to take off, but we also saw the emergence of something that would annoy the folks at the PCMR headquarters until this day: the first gaming consoles. The Magnavox Odyssey, the first ever home gaming console, was created in 1972 with games like table tennis pre-installed on it. It was a bit primitive by today's standards, basically combining board games with added lights and screens that you placed over the TV in order to play. But it was something brand new, and it introduced people outside of the computer industry to digital games. Also in the 1970s, arcades, another new form of digital gaming, gained public popularity with titles like Pong, Computer Space, and Space Invaders. Gaming at home or near home was becoming an ever more popular form of entertainment. As the decade wore on, companies that never thought of touching video games were now piling over each other to get into the action, and a spread of new home and arcade gaming consoles flooded the market. Arcade gaming alone in the US, for instance, by the early 1980s, had become a $5 billion industry, which is just over $18 billion today. Gaming wasn't for little kids and so-called nerds anymore. It was a legitimate form of entertainment that was making loads of money. And then, quite suddenly, it all came crashing down, and many of these pioneer gaming companies were wiped out. But why? In the next episode, we'll take a look at the gaming giant of the early 1980s, Atari, and chart its rise and how its success created an atmosphere of vicious competition and overworked developers. I hope you enjoy and learn something about business and gaming history by watching the series. Once again, I want to thank you all for watching. I'm Eric the Lone Pine Wolfman, and remember, never stop learning.